we'll call this meeting of the Educational Facilities Improvement District to order this February 3rd, 2021. Ms. Jenkins, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Cooper, Mr. Daniels,
Here.
Mr. Ferrera,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Verbois,
Present.
Mr. Duncan,
Here.
Ms. Damiano. Here.
If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we get started on the agenda items, I did want to point out that there will be an opportunity for public input before the board votes on agenda item J, which is the only item that we'll be voting on today. If anyone does intend to offer public input, would ask that you grab one of the public input forms at the back of the room and turn that into the secretary, so I will be sure to know to call on you. All right, first item on the agenda is to consider approval of the minutes from January the 6th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move.
Motion is made by Mr. Verbois.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ferrera. Any discussion on the motion? Is there any opposition to the motion? Without objection, then the motion is agreed to and the minutes are approved. The next few items on the agenda is really just an effort to gather the information that many of the board members had asked for during our last meeting. And so we'll go through those, give each member an opportunity to ask any questions. We do have, in addition to our administration, senior administration folks that are here to answer questions. Our board president is also here, Ms. Robin, thank you for that. And then we have a whole host of various types of lawyers, from our desegregation lawyers and our bond attorneys, that are all here and available to answer any questions and ensure that members feel like they have all the information they need prior to voting on tonight's resolution. The first item that we're going to take up is that, the members, you guys had asked for some direction from the school board itself regarding the direction that they might like for us to go. So last night, the school board did adopt a resolution that outlines, that should be the first resolution that you have in your packet. I'm not going to read that whole thing to you. Hopefully y'all are okay with that. But I will go through some of the high points. The main point is that the board is endorsing or requesting that this board call an election for April the 24th that would be for a half-cent sales tax that would be collected for 15 years and dedicated for additional salaries and benefits for all school employees. The resolution goes on to outline the fact that the administration and the board do have a strategic plan that has been adopted and is going to be updated soon regarding on how to address various challenges. The next paragraph points out the fact that we have consistently ranked very high as a school system on the percentage of total revenues that are used in the classroom, and we're going to talk about that a little more in just a moment. Next paragraph points out the fact that we now, just recently, have data that shows that we are the least funded school system in the state of Louisiana on a per pupil basis when you can take into account all of the different types of revenue that we collect. It used to be we were the least funded, locally funded school system, but now we can actually have the title of least funded for all revenue, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. I'm going to skip through a bunch of language. The other, I think, really important part of this resolution is that has to do with the increased MFP funds. In this resolution, the school system has made a commitment that if this tax is successful and we receive additional revenue from the MFP, this resolution outlines how the board is committed to using those extra funds. The administration has calculated that the increased MFP would be $5.6 million per year, and it's the intent of the board that we spend those dollars, number one, decreasing class sizes to address the emotional needs of students. Number two, for an after-school and before-school program to accelerate learning and assist working families. Number three, to expand early childhood opportunities for children. Number four, to expand career pathway programs, including STEM and other credentialing opportunities for our high school students so that they are more prepared for the workforce. And lastly, to expand music, art, foreign language, and STEM programs in our K-8 schools. This resolution was adopted unanimously by the board, and I think those are the highlights, but if any board members have any questions or anything else regarding the resolution that you feel like we should discuss, Mr. Verbois?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. After listening last night to the board meeting, I will say I appreciate from the board and to the administration, I think that the concern from some of us was to put in writing the MFP funds dedication, that it shows to the public and taxpayers that we are planning to put that towards proper use, and it's a separate from the pay increase for the staff. But I wanted to bring up, I don't know if Brett or Mr. Stottleback will elaborate on it. If I'm correct in reading last night that this is considered a supplemental, that if this does not get reapproved in 15 years, that essentially it falls off. So it's worded in a way that it doesn't pigeonhole, I guess for lack of a better term, the district, that if this passes and does not get reapproved later on, that it won't put us in a bind per se.
That's correct. The way the state law reads, that districts cannot pay their teachers less than they paid them the previous year unless a revenue source is not continued. It's discontinued. So we anticipate we'll adjust our salary schedules to reflect the additional half-cent penny being dedicated to our salaries, and it will be clearly marked in our salary schedule. So if and when a time comes the tax is not renewed in the future, then it would be removed from the salary schedules, and we would still be able to comply with state law of not lowering the teacher's salary unless the revenue fails.
Good.
Any other questions from the board regarding the resolution that was sent to us from the school board? Mr. Miller?
If you don't mind. Sure. And I think Mr. Nottleback, this is probably for you too. And I know that we talked about it, and it appears that in here we've done it. There's no way to supplant
Correct.
money. This has to go to the teachers. There's no way to.
Well, it would go to all employees, yes.
Right. Yes, all employees. But so it's really because it's going to be earmarked separate, and like you
Correct.
say, it's being tracked separately because of the fact if it goes away.
Correct.
So, okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the resolution? All right. Well, next we're going to, we'll move on to the next bit of information that this board requested, which were some, a survey of our employees. So this was sent out to all employees within the school system. I don't know, we don't have that?
I can pull it up.
I have a copy.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully, was it emailed out? Yeah. Okay, so we just didn't have it printed. So this was important to me as well, because the last time we had a tax election, you know, my background is in political science, and I love to review data related to elections. And it was clear to me that the last election that we lost was lost in large part because of a lack of excitement, let's say, or support from our employees. And so if we were going to go forward with this again, I wanted to make sure that we had some data to show that our employees were going to get enthusiastically behind this. And so the survey results, again, this was sent out by email to all of our employees. And the, on the question number 2, question number 3 would have been do you support the board calling an election seeking a half-cent penny sales tax dedicated to increasing salaries for all school system employees by at least 7%? The response rate was 91.26%, highly likely that they would support, and 5% roughly somewhat likely that they would support. And then the next question after that had to do with their willingness to encourage their family and friends to also support the proposal. Highly likely 88.57%, somewhat likely 6.5%. And then we tested some other questions that were, one had to do with seeking going for a whole penny instead of just a half penny. That had a little bit less support. It was down to 75%. And then we asked them about what they felt like the general public would support on some items. Again, I will avoid trying to just read you guys all of the results, but did want to highlight them. Did any of y'all have any questions or thoughts about the employee survey results?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Verbois?
I just wanted to say from the meeting too last night, and Ms. Stilley may be correct if I think was the one who said it, that there will be an initiative. I've been contacted by a few employees just with questions in general, but there's an initiative that should this pass tonight be put on the roll, that the different teacher groups will be contacted, explain everything a little bit as we go through and kind of educate the groups what's intended from the tax proposal.
Absolutely, all of our work groups, from support worker groups to teachers, so forth.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts on that item? All right. If not, then the next one will be, we had some salary comparison reports prepared, which I think we sent to you guys ahead of time. These reports outline, where we currently stand in various categories as far as how much we pay our employees versus where we would be with the 7% increase. And Mr. Schnadelbach prepared this chart. I guess I will let you come up and kind of walk us through some of the highlights of what you prepared for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We picked the employee groups that are our largest groups, the largest number of employees. So the very first slide that's on the screen is our teachers with bachelor's degrees, which we have 720 employees that fall into this group. Current starting salary today is $42,000 a year. We rank 9th, and we are behind. Now, this study shows 10 school districts on the North Shore that are neighboring school districts, St. James and St. John along the river, but mainly on the North Shore. So, and out of those 10 districts, we currently rank 9th. We're on the average about $2,200 less than the average of all 10 districts. Compared to Livingston Parish, we're about $1,300 or 3.1% less than Livingston Parish. And we're about $3,300 or 7.9% less than St. Tammany Parish. With a 7% raise, the starting salary would go to $45,000. And at that level, at $45,000, we're about $700 above the average of the 10 districts. We're $1,600 or 3.7% above Livingston Parish as a starting pay, and we're only $300 behind St. Tammany as starting pay. So we feel we're very competitive with the 7% increase for starting teacher pay. if you look at the very last column, way over to the right, you'll see the average. Now, what we've done here is we're showing along the path or career of a teacher, their salary at step 0, starting pay, 5 years experience, 10 years experience, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Some districts, their salary schedules go up to 40 years. Ours only go to 23 steps. But we took the average of each one of those steps and came up with an average, kind of see how they compare across the career of the employee. And right now, our average is $49,533, ranked 9th. The average of the steps were examined, if with the 7% increase, would put us at $53,007, which would be ranked 6th on average career. Any questions on the teacher salary before I look at another group?
Okay.
Okay, we'll jump to the next one, which is in our teachers area, our second largest group of teachers. It's our teachers with master's degrees. We got 302 teachers that fall in this category. Starting pay is $43,000, and it's currently ranked 9th. Our starting pay is about $1,900, or 4.5% less than the average of the 10 districts we studied. It's $781, or 1.8% less than Livingston Parish, and $2,800, or 6.5% less than St. Tammany Parish. With a 7% increase, the starting pay would go to $46,010, which ranks us 5th, and would put us about $1,000 ahead of the state average, of the average of the 10 districts. It would put us $2,200 above Livingston Parish, which is 4.8%, and about $210 above the starting pay for teachers with masters from St. Tammany, which would put us about 0.5% above. The average over on the far right-hand column of the career of a teacher with master's degree, currently right now it's $51,347, is ranked 9th. And with a 7% increase, it would go to $54,942, which would rank 7th out of the 10 districts studied. The next group we looked at was our highly qualified paras. We have 402 employees that fall into this group. Currently, our starting pay for our paras is $16,782. We're ranked 11th out of the 10 districts studied. We are almost $2,500 less than the average of the 10 districts. We're $1,400 less than Livingston Parish and $6,800 less than St. Tammany Parish. With the 7% increase, the starting pay would go to $17,957. We would be ranked 9th out of the 10 districts studied. We would be about $1,300 less than the average. We would be about $280, $279 less than Livingston Parish, and $5,600 less than St. Tammany Parish.
Even with the 7%?
Even with the 7% for our paras, correct. The average of the para group, we're currently 20,739, and we're ranked 8th with a 7% increase. The average, I don't know why the average is down. That's not correct, y'all. So I'm going to pass on that. It shouldn't be less than the above figure. So I'll have to verify that. I'm not sure why.
Do you believe with that, more than likely with that number being wrong, your
My average above it's probably not correct either, so I would
well,
avoid,
but
the starting pay is correct.
In the bottom two squares, you think are correct or incorrect?
No, I don't think they're correct. I would
Okay.
ignore the average on that figure without me looking into it. I
And
apologize.
the two comparisons at the bottom where you would,
Only for the average column I would be concerned about, but for the others along the way, the starting pay I would imagine, I would think to be correct.
thank you.
And I apologize, I'll check into why that's not there.
So,
And it may be that it's copying the line below it if you see that, the 19,000 in the Washington Parish, but I don't know right now. The next group we looked at was our school bus drivers. We have 396 employees that fall into this group. The starting pay for our bus drivers is $16,032. We ranked 11th out of the 10 districts studied. Oh, because we're Washington, we're twice. So we're at the very bottom here on starting pay for our bus drivers. We're $3,300 less than the average. We're $1,300 less than Livingston and $9,400 less than St. Tammany Parish. I've said this before, St. Tammany Parish, their starting pay for their school bus drivers exceeds our maximum pay for our school bus drivers. With a 7% increase, we would still be $2,200 less than the average of the 10 districts. We would be about $255 less than the starting pay in Livingston Parish, and about $8,300 less than the starting pay in St. Tammany Parish for school bus drivers. Over the career of the drivers, the average, we're currently $19,989. We ranked 8th out of the 10 districts. We're $3,000 less than the average, $1,300 less than Livingston, and $12,600 less than St. Tammany Parish. With a 7% increase, the average over the career of the driver will jump to $21,389. That puts us about $1,600 less than the average, about $2,600 more than Livingston Parish, and $11,000 less than St. Tammany Parish.
Is there a difference between someone who owns their own bus and drives a,
Not in salaries. The one who owns and provides a bus is paid an additional compensation for owning and operating, and it's not considered on the salary schedule.
Okay.
It's not put into their retirement either. It's paid outside. The next group we looked at was custodians, and it's a little hard. I know we have a lot more custodians than 39, but we employ a lot of 9-month custodians, and a lot of other districts do not. Mr. Jinko and I have been looking at possibly converting some of those 9 months to 12 months, but it still would be a staggering number to do so. So we're currently, right now, we're looking and comparing just to 12-month custodians, but our 9-month and 10-month custodians are paid almost on an hourly wage, similar to the 12-month. So these are 12-month custodians. Starting pay for Tangipahoa Parish is $17,383. We're ranked 9th. We're about $4,000 less than the average. We're $6,300 less than Livingston Parish, and we're $8,400 less than St. Tammany Parish. With a 7% raise, our custodians would jump to $18,600 starting. We would go from 9th to 8th. We'd still be $2,700 less than the average, $5,100 less than Livingston, and $7,100 less than St. Tammany. Over the career of the custodian, the career pay is $21,170, ranked 9th. We're $4,900 less than the average, $6,500 less than Livingston, $16,400 less than St. Tammany Parish. With a 7% increase, we would go from 9th to 8th, and we would be $3,400 less than the average, $5,000 less than Livingston Parish, and nearly $15,000 less than St. Tammany Parish for our custodial positions. Our school food service is the last group we looked at. There's 308 employees that fall into this category. Starting pay for our school lunchroom workers is $14,570, or they're ranked 11th. They're about $3,200 less than the average of the 10 districts studied. They're $2,400 less than Livingston Parish and $6,600 less than St. Tammany. With a 7% increase, their starting pay would go to $15,590. They would go to ranked 9th. There'd still be $2,200 less than the average, $1,400 less than Livingston Parish, and $5,600 less than St. Tammany Parish. The average for those employees currently right now is $18,079, ranked 10th, $2,800 less than the average, $1,200 less than Livingston, and $10,280 less than St. Tammany Parish. With the 7% increase, that average would jump to $19,344, ranked 7th. They would be pretty much comparable with Livingston Parish, but they'd still be $9,000 less than St. Tammany Parish. Just looking at these 6 groups, we account for about 2,167 employees, or about 78% of our employee pool.
All right, thank you. Members have any other questions related to the salary schedules? Mr. Miller?
First of all, I want to thank y'all for the hard work to do this. All those spreadsheets, and it looks like it pops up there pretty easily. I know there a lot of work went into figuring this out and putting it together. Looks like on the teacher side, the 7% does pretty well. Doesn't pay them what we probably want to pay them, but it gets us in pretty good shape with the two levels of teachers. I am concerned about the bus drivers, the custodians, the food service workers, that they don't seem to get close for the most part.
Correct.
They're probably the ones struggling the most too. The food service, just a question, the food services and the workers who are 9-month employees and the custodians that are 9 and 10-month employees, are they basically hourly with no benefits?
No, they have
They
benefits.
do have benefits.
All our employees,
Everybody.
all our employees are eligible for benefits.
Full-time employee.
All our full-time employees, even our bus drivers who work 5 hours a day,
What about the 9 and 10-month? They're
they're,
considered,
they're eligible for benefits.
okay, that's good to know.
And retirement, health care that go with it.
Okay, all benefits go. Okay,
Correct.
that's good. Is there a possibility, and I know the resolution doesn't have it this way, and I'm probably throwing a big old kink in there, maybe something y'all talked about though, with the $5.6 million worth of MFP money coming, to use some of that to help these bus drivers, custodians, and food services a little bit more.
I would defer that to the superintendent, if you don't mind.
Okay?
Well, you can answer it this way, that, because this is, I believe, how you responded, is that the 7% increase across the board does use up the vast majority of the anticipated 12.5 million that this tax is expected to generate.
Correct.
There's a little bit of room there, but not much.
There's some additional funds that may be if sales tax holds as strong as it's going. Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
so would that mean that that central office would have to redesign the steps, the salary schedule?
I would.
To avoid
Yes. Yeah,
giving-
If the half a cent sales tax passes, we will readjust the salary schedule accordingly to accommodate. If there's going to be more weight given to the lower, other positions, certainly it's something that the administration will consider.
I just, these folks, look,
Truly,
there's no
yes.
doubt, our teachers deserve more, but these guys are,
We certainly understand their
let's-
support workers are
don't let the
critical.
custodians show up for a week and let's see what the school looks like.
Correct. Or expect,
Or the bus drivers don't show up and how those kids get
or
to
if the
school.
cafeteria workers don't show up,
Right.
how long are the kids are going to stay at school? Right. I understand they're critical. Our support workers make things happen. We understand.
Absolutely. Everybody, top to bottom does.
Correct.
And
And as Mr. Duncan said, we're lean and mean. We've been lean and mean.
I know
and-
that, absolutely.
And we have been doing this on the backs of our employees for a long time. So this is well needed and well deserved by our employees.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct, too, with the way that it's worded, that if this passes, it still has to go back to the school board to be approved for the pay schedule, that there still is on the back end?
Well, the salary schedule will be part of the budget. The budget will be approved by the school board.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
The school board will ultimately approve any additional compensation.
My point is that we're not locked in per se, but still there's opportunity that if there is better funding or however it comes across, it can be adjusted if that becomes a concern.
Correct.
I mean, the commitment has been that we will do at least a 7% increase for all employees. Ultimately, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, it will be an adoption of salary schedules, and there may be some room in there when we get to that point for some slight adjustments here or there. So,
Hopefully.
And look, yeah, this is simply a step in the right direction. It's still not anywhere close where we need to be or want to be, like you said, particularly for our support workers. So, any other questions on the comparison charts? Okay. The next piece of information that the administration gathered for us is the minimum foundation program, Table 7. This is actually Mr. Schnattelbach, if you'll, this is actually a worksheet or a chart that is generated by the State Department of Education has always been my understanding. Is that right?
Yes, sir. This
That-
is
that each
part
of
of the
the
MFP funding formula.
Right, so that, each of the school systems throughout the state have to prepare their budgets and audits, and all of that gets sent up to the state of Louisiana, and they use that information to create these various reports that we're about to go over next.
That's correct.
So this report, though, the way that it's generated, it ranks each of the school systems in accordance with the various types of funding they receive. And if you look at the line number 53 for the Tangipahoa Parish School System, that first line is how many students we have, 19,019 students, which puts us at the 12th largest school system in the state of Louisiana. The next one has to do with how much one mill generates in property taxes. The next one, though, is our average millage rate, and where we rank as far as how much our average rate is in property taxes. That is 12 mills, 12.45. The average millage rate in the state is 41.30, and we rank next to last at the rate that we do in property taxes. Next line has to do with total ad valorem, or total property taxes per pupil. We collect $381 per pupil in property taxes to fund our school system. That puts us at absolute last in the amount per pupil that's collected in property taxes for our students. The average per pupil amount in the state of Louisiana collected in property taxes is $2,660, and again, ours is $381. Next, you'll see that pretty much every district in the state, with a few exceptions, is doing 2% in sales taxes. You'll see a few here that jump up to 3%, some are slightly less than 2%. I think I'm seeing one that's just 1% in Bogalusa. But we are ranked 33rd out of 69 school districts in how much we collect per pupil in sales taxes. Per pupil, we currently collect $2,353. The average for the state is $3,047. Next has to do with other revenue. That's a relatively small figure. But total local revenue generated and to support our school system, we rank 61st out of 69 districts, which with the per pupil amount at $2,747. The average, state average per pupil and local revenue generated to support school systems is $5,759, and again, ours is $2,747. And then this is a relatively new development, I think, Mr. Schnadelbach, that when we add all of our revenue, coming from all of these different areas, and then we divide that by the number of students that we have, our per pupil expenditure is $10,754, which is now the least amount per pupil spent in any school district in the state of Louisiana. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We are 69th out of 69 districts in total funding. That includes local, state, and federal funds.
And have you run any sort of data yet on if the tax passes, where we anticipate we would
Yes.
rank? Would we still be one of the least locally taxed school districts in the state of Louisiana?
If the tax passes, we would have additional $12.5 million in sales tax, but we would also have an additional $5.6 million in MFP funding, state funding, matching funding. So the total additional revenue would be $18.1 million. and we would jump from 69 to 65.
All the way to 65. So we would still be able to brag about being
I'm
a
sorry, Mr.
relative.
Duncan, it's 64. We moved
64.
5 spots, so we moved from 69 to 64, and the average would be $11,706.
So we would still be a very lean and mean operation we would still be able to brag of being a very low-taxed parish as far as.
We would be 65th,
65th.
64th, I'm sorry.
All right.
69.
Questions? Mr. Ferrera, anyone? Any questions about this particular chart or this information? Ms. Damiano?
Oh, I just would, and I know you're going to talk about it later on, but since it does happen to be the last column, I think it's crucial for all of us, especially the general public, to understand that we rank third in the percent of the money that's spent on the students in the classroom. And I can remember saying years ago in public that you'd have to live under a rock not to accept the fact that people in this parish didn't trust the school board, and that was at the time when I was on the school board. Figures like this do so much to help them reassess that and begin to understand that money's not squandered, it's not hidden, it's not wasted, it's devoted to the kids. So you can be down at the bottom in funding, but down at the top in the way you administer that funding, and that's something everybody should be proud of that works here.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more, which is our next chart, and just kind of outline what that means, because I get a lot of questions about when I've tried to tell people that we are ranked very high in the percentage of our dollars that are spent in the classroom. And Mr. Schnottbach, again, I just want to make sure I'm saying all of this correctly. This next chart that you have put together for us gives our ranking over the course of, I guess, the last decade or so. But again, these are reports and figures that are put together by the state of Louisiana. These are not something that we create, is that right?
That's correct. And it's all available on their website, Louisiana Believes website, under their funding pages.
And the way that they do that is, again, we send them our budgets and our audits, and they're comparing apples to apples as far as dollars. The way that they define dollars spent in the classroom or instructional dollars is the same, that they're defining it the same way for all districts, right?
That's correct. When we send them our AFR, our financial records electronically, we use standard accounting account codes across the state. Every school district has the same codes. They record expenditures the same way. The state takes that, compiles it, and develops reports like this.
Right. And so when we're accused of wasting dollars here or there, you know, the only way that I can think of to deal with that is to say wasting dollars in comparison to what, or in comparison to who. And to me, that's where this chart is helpful, because if you're comparing us with all of the other districts in the state and how we spend our dollars, we have consistently ranked very high, within 11 or 12, maybe one year where we dropped down to 15, but it was always somewhere around 75% of our total revenue being spent in the classroom. And then in the last 2 years, we went from 77.13% to 77.69%, which put us number three in the state of Louisiana as far as the percentage of dollars spent in the classroom. In the last 2 years, we've been ranked 3. And then prior to that, the ranking was a little bit lower, but the percentages were always 76, 77%. You know, it went from 77.13 to 77.69.
And we continue to work on that. One of Ms. Silly's goals is to get to 80%, and we're going to get there.
So any questions about that chart or anything you felt like
I
we
did
need?
notice one thing. Go
ahead.
And it does change the numbers a little bit, and maybe not the percentage, but it does. The second report says 19,260 students, and the other one has 19,019 students.
Yeah.
I don't know if that,
It's a,
but they still have the same percentage in the classroom, so
It may be a different year, Mr. Miller, so I'm not 100% certain. I'll have to look at that.
that is the difference. Is one is using,
Yeah. The one report, the first one is February 1st, 20, and the other one is October 1st, 19, I would imagine.
so. Any other questions related to that chart that you wanted to go over? Okay. Finally, I wanted to, and I'm not gonna ask Ms. Bass to come up and talk about this chart, but this is something we get asked about a lot, which is how much we're spending on the desegregation case. And just wanted to be able to point out or provide you guys with the information that, with the school district reaching that final agreement with the plaintiff's attorneys, I don't know, within the last couple of years, you can see that we have gone from spending, I don't know, you pick a month, on average around $20,000 a month, now down to less than $5,000, or right up between around $5,000 or $7,000 a month on attorney fees related to the school desegregation case. And of course, we're committed to hopefully one day bringing that down to zero. Any questions about any of that?
Mr. Chairman, I will say this real fast, too. I meant to say it when we were talking about the other budget stuff, but I think when you look at the budget, like from this past year, I think this is 2018 one, just so the public understands that inside the budget, there's a breakdown on the percent. So on average, we spend $200 million a year on the budget. The current ad valorem property tax only accounts for 7.8, so about 4%, and the sales tax accounts for, say, about 20%. So when the public talks about a lot of times about where our revenue source comes from, as a community, we're not inputting a lot of that. We're not funding it directly from Tangipahoa Parish into the budget. So it just, I had a conversation with somebody the other day just to understand that the total of the budget, we don't put as much as I personally think that we should be attributing. So it's just a little, you hear people talk about how much we spend on taxes in the parish, and we really don't contribute like we should. I guess it kind of be interesting to see what it'd be percent to other parishes, but it is very low on us as a total budget. And same thing said for the DSEG case. I mean, it's not money that we want to spend that we'd rather put towards students, but in relation to the total budget, it's a very small percentage. But again, we want to put that money towards the students, toward our staff and our community. So just something to bring up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, then we'll take up our primary resolution that we're here to vote on today, which is the resolution that would call the election to assess a 1/2 cent sales tax for 15 years that would be dedicated to providing additional salaries and benefits for all employees of the school system. We do have Mr. Hesberg here, who is our bond attorney, that's available to walk us through the resolution if anyone on the board has any questions about the resolution. But again, I don't, it's not required that we read the resolution, is it, Mr. Hesberg? Do we have to read the resolution out loud?
Mr. Duncan, it's not required to read the resolution.
Okay.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I confirm with you, I ask you to
Come on up
publicly,
to the microphone.
publicly confirm that in this resolution that we're about to vote on has the same information regarding the requirements of the resolution from the school board that we read earlier? it's going to be across the board, the half penny for 15 years, dedicated to 7% raise across the board. The MFP money is going to be allocated for those 4 or 5 things that were listed. Is that in here too? Is that the same requirements that were in the school board resolution or in this resolution?
The purposes are the same, that is correct.
Is it listed in
No.
here?
So the MFP dollars are not in this resolution.
The MFP is not in the resolution, but the MFP commitment is not in this resolution. This resolution is a call for the tax. It definitely, it says that the salaries are going to be dedicated for salaries and benefits only, and it will be for teachers and support workers, which is all employees.
Okay,
So, Mr. Miller, this resolution just calls the election.
calls for the election for the half cent.
Right, but the board wanted to provide this board a commitment on how the MFP funds would be used, which is why we adopted
And
that
this is
resolution.
probably not a question for you, but the board's resolution can be changed with another resolution.
Well,
Just like our
The
council can go
MFP
do whatever they want to do
but
month
at
to
the
month.
same time, the additional revenue developed from this tax will be for salaries and benefits and cannot be changed by the school
I
board.
get that. I guess I'm switching back to the MFP money, and I get that, but it's a school board resolution that is binding. Is that correct? About the MFP money?
Well, it is-
I know it's not related to the half
Yeah.
cent per se. It is, but
It is a binding resolution, but keep in mind, the board is going to approve those expenditures when they approve the budget annually.
I don't know of a way to include that provision in this resolution. But there will be an opportunity for this board, Mr. Schnattelbach, to, we have to do a cooperative endeavor agreement with the school board after this tax passes, and there would be some leverage in that cooperative endeavor agreement to bind the school board on some of the commitments that they've made, is my understanding. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that would be where we would have the opportunity to do that.
All right, thank you.
This resolution just calls the election and calls the election on a proposition that would raise sales taxes by a half a penny for 15 years with those funds being dedicated to salaries and benefits for all employees.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Duncan, Ms. Sanders wants to remind the board that the cooperative endeavor agreement will be binding on the school board and is reviewed annually by this board and by the school board.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions? All right. With that then, do we have any public input before we,
No.
all right, well, we will need a motion then to adopt the resolution as presented. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as presented for vote.
All right, the motion is made by Mr. Verbois. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Mrs. Damiano. Is there any other discussion on the motion? And I'll call one more time. Is there any public input on the motion? Okay. Anything from the board? All right, we'll call the question. This will be a roll call vote. Ms. Jenkins will call the roll.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Verbois?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Damiano?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Resolution is agreed to. I want to thank all board members for your work and your service. Ms. Stilley, you have anything to close us up with? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I don't want you to lose the opportunity.
Well, as I was looking and again at those numbers of our employees and the salaries, it's, we have a big hill to climb. But we're committed in getting there and paying our employees and have competitive wages for our employees to the districts. And on behalf of our administration and the board, we want to thank you for, working with us and believing in us and helping us to get our system where we know our system can be. There's no reason why Tangipahoa Parish School System cannot be the #1 school district in the state. There's no reason. And we can get there, but we have to get there together. And so we appreciate you sincerely, and for everything you've done, just taking time to be here. I know you all have full-time jobs, and your passion for improving our public education, because when we improve public education, we improve the whole parish. And as Mr. Miller would say, move here, live here, go to school here. And so it's exciting times in our parish, and I'm very encouraged for our future here. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Again, thank y'all, and we have more work to do, so we'll be getting back together hopefully real soon.
Mr. Duncan.
This meeting is adjourned.